Minecraft, a game full of memories. Memories ranging from breaking your first tree, building your first house, finding your first set of diamonds, or even some memories that aren't from Minecraft specifically, like watching Dan TDM and Dr. Trioris showcasing mods in the lab.
But it never goes too well. Let's try it anyway. Oh, that felt a little bit weird. What's going on?
Or watching Stampy build stuff in his lovely world. These could all be core memories for you, or just fond memories that you like thinking about. But what if these memories that you once held in such high regard were changing? These places and feelings were becoming corrupted. Hello my polygonal friends. That description I just described to you could be applied to the ARG I will be covering in today's video. That being the channel by the name of IamSecret. In today's video, I will be covering all 23 videos in the series. Make sure you got your drinks, because this is the story of IamSecret. In the first video of the series, we see the player strip mining in a cave, before eventually finding some diamonds.
We're rich! We're rich! Diamond! Ah!
But before player could mine any, they suddenly get teleported to this glacier biome. Player then walks over to this survival chest you find in console versions of Minecraft and such, alongside a bunch of snowballs on the ground. The player picks up this bone that is named, before looking around at their environments. And that's about all for the first video. But despite this video being called normal, this video is far from it. Whoa, wait. The second video starts off with player in this snowy taiga biome. Looks like they are confused by this, looking around, trying to figure out how they got there. Player starts walking around, trying to find anything past this dense fog. The player finds this chest with a single torch inside it. After grabbing the item, player looks around some more, probably getting flashbacks from the end of last video, before noticing this hole in the ground that wasn't there before. Player decides to pull an Undertale and jump into the hole. The video ends with player picking up why. And that's about it for video 2. On to the next one. The third video starts off with player going into their house and putting some dirt into their chest. Broski, what is this sorting? Why are there just many stacks of dirt that are just not combined? Same for cobblestone. Player notices something outside while sorting though. A sign with a bunch of corrupted text we have been seeing throughout the videos. After player gets hit with the
"Playing Minecraft, I like it, cut G,"
they go back inside. Oh nah, bro ended up in the back rooms. Player walks down the hall and turns to the left. and finds another chest with a single bone with glitchy text and a stick that reads, "No." And that ends off video 3. On to the 4th one. The 4th video starts off with player walking around in this forest before suddenly the screen turns black and that fog we have been seeing throughout the series returns. They keep walking, but the screen goes dark a second time with even greater effects. The screen gets darker with a bunch of black cubes and signs littered on the ground. Player keeps walking before finding this giant bedrock wall. Player finds a torch, simply called "No." Taking a closer look at the bedrock wall, player sees this opening in it that leads to this drop, and after a moment of thinking, so before I show this next clip, do note it has a little bit of flashing lights, so if you're sensitive to that, skip to this timestamp on screen. We see where the player landed, this void with chests making up the ground. The sky is rapidly changing from day to night. Player walks around this place before spotting a sign in the distance. They walk to the sign that reads, "You should leave." That video had a good amount of information. Let's see what's going on in the next one. The 5th video starts off with, you guessed it, player walking around somewhere. They are in this stony spikes biome before finding this chest, and when opening it, oh, that's odd. There's usually something in there. The good old turn off and turn on again technique gets player this stick before they randomly get teleported inside this base. Everything looks normal, so maybe this really is just a normal base.
Oh.
Now, I think we're all thinking the same thing here. This series is quite generic. Sure, it doesn't have the typical, ooh, scary shadow figure in the distance, but it really isn't doing anything that crazy right now. If this series was bread, it would be plain white bread. But this next video onward, I think the series gets better and better, and it really becomes its own series. Beginning with the 6th video starts off with player in the mines. They grab a pickaxe from their chest and get digging.
As a child, I yearned for the mines.
They find this hole into the void, and when they turn around, they see that their path has been closed off, with a chest in its place. Before player could see what is in the chest, it disappears. For a split second though, we can make out what the item was. A book and quill. But since player couldn't read it, that leaves them with only one option. Player ends up in another new location. This gravel path with tall bedrock walls to each side. Walking down the path, player finds this chest with a single stick in it. It reads, "Go back." And that ends off video 6. On to video 7. I'm not going to say the joke. The 7th video starts off with player walking around in this desert. Before finding this pyramid temple. They go in to do the try and true method of digging out one of the corners. They go in to do one of the... Is try and true method a saying? Maybe. The screen suddenly turns darker and player runs out of the temple. But then, they spot something on the side of the temple. An empty chest that slowly fades in, the book and quill from the last video. For the last few seconds of the video, a message appears on screen. Die. The description of this video reads, a mistake. Anyways, that was video 7, on to video 8. Endless is an interesting video, since this is the first appearance of a new character in the series. In the video, we see player and this new person running back towards their base. I'll be calling this person BB because of their blue boots. Yes, I am very original. How could you tell? Editing Sam here? This guy isn't wearing blue boots. I'm just stupid. BB and player go into their base and go into this basement area. The screen cuts and shows BB strip mining in a cave before finding some diamonds, very similar to the very first video of the series. After getting the diamonds, the two decide to head back and put the diamonds in a chest. Player finds himself in a seemingly infinite tunnel. They decide to run in one direction before the screen suddenly cuts. Player is now in a snow biome. There are signs littered throughout. They read, "No one came. No one even bothered. I was all alone. They will pay." The description of this video reads, "No more." That was video 8, on to video 9. This video starts off with player creating a new Minecraft world. For a split second after loading in, we see whatever this is on the right. Comment down below what you think this is, because I honestly can't tell. Player seemingly noticed it too though, since they start looking around for whatever that was, before finding this giant cave. After seeing the cave full of faceless Steves, player starts bulking it, before suddenly coming across a field of signs. They are all blank signs. That suddenly ends our video. Few interesting things to note. 1. At the very end, we hear Morse code. When translating this Morse code, we get the message, "Lost." And 2. At the very end, we get a better look at the faceless Steves from the cave. That was video 9, on to video 10. Video 10 starts off quite simple. It shows player creating another world, and doing what you would usually do. Break down a tree, get some stone, and make a house. Honestly, house is looking pretty nice. Not bad, not bad. It's even got a good outside view of the ocean. Well, It's got a view of the ocean. After seeing the faceless Steve again, player goes back into their house, only to see it is completely ransacked. And then suddenly, with nowhere else to go, player goes down the hall of cobblestone. Finding a chest, there is a diamond inside. And that ends off video 10. An interesting thing to note is that the diamond in the chest is once again Morse code. It spells, "Come find me." And that ends off video 10. On to video 11. I'ma be real, this series has been alright up to this point, but this is where things start to get interesting. The first attempt shows player walking around this newly created Minecraft world. There's this weird ambience in the background, but other than that, nothing is too weird just yet. That is, until we see this. Three bedrock pillars and a row of blank signs, before the screen suddenly darkens, with the signs getting glitchy text on them, and a faceless Steve is in the distance. Observations. Presence of a strange structure. Bedrock blocks on the surface. An entity glitching in black screens. And that ends off video 11. On to the halfway point of the series. It's not actually the halfway point. I don't know what I'm talking about. This is the halfway point of the series. No, it isn't. It is not. It's just not. I don't know why I wrote that in the script.
Leave me alone!
So let's see what is happening in this video. Now, nothing really notable happens for the first minute or so of the video. The screen freezes a few times, but that's about it. That is, until the 40-second mark, where we see this. Player finds this valley of bedrock structures. It starts raining when player comes upon this structure in the middle. A large pillar with bedrock and chests all around it. There is a sign on the pillar that is a bunch of random numbers. While examining the sign, the game cuts and our player notices something. When going up to it, they see this staircase leading downwards into the ground. Player goes into the ground, but finds nothing but another exit leading towards the surface. When exiting the staircase, player finds himself trapped in a giant bedrock rectangle with a wall of chests on one side. They walk towards the chests and find one specific chest sticking out. After collecting the near stick, player starts hearing these distorted sounds before seeing this path of diamonds leading back towards the staircase. The video ends with these observations. A strange pillar containing a message surrounded by bedrock blocks. A short glimpse of this entity. Weird sounds, glitching / black screens. A few interesting things to note. 1. During the scene with the 8th wonder of the world,
Stonehenge.
the message on the sign is actually a number cipher. When translating this, we get keep searching. And 2, the description of the video reads, is it near? That is all for video 12. On to video 13. Video 13 starts off immediately. We see player looking out towards the ocean before noticing a sign in the distance. These are what the signs read. You must be wondering, who am I? What am I? I don't know what I am. With no other option, player jumps into the ravine. Player ends up on this glass bridge in the sky with a giant wall of stone in front of them. When walking towards the wall, player sees a door containing the texture of the end portal behind it. Without much else to do in this infinite void, player goes into the portal. Not much more to say about this video. On to video 14. Video 14 starts off with some bit-crushed Minecraft screenshots with music in the background, before one of the screenshots starts glitching out, and we see where player ended up from the last video. This weird stone structure in the void. There are 2 signs along the 2 paths, and after picking one of the paths, there's this wall behind them, so they can't go backwards. Continuing forward, player finds this sign that reads, goodbye, and a chest that they can't open. Player goes into the void door, ending the video. The description of this video reads, next time. And that is all for video 14. These last few videos really haven't offered us much, so let's see what video 15 has in store. Now, this video is actually quite normal. It just has player exploding a large amount of TNT with some banger music in the background. Too bad I can't play it since it's copyrighted. Here's an artist rendition of the song. Boom. When suddenly, while exploding the TNT, player's computer blue screens again. Okay, bro, what in the hello neighbor shadow kid is this, bro? Well, there really isn't much left in video 15, so on to video 16. The 16th video starts off with the blue screen that we saw at the end of the last video, and the scene with the shadow figure showing up for a split second, before we see something we have all seen before. The Windows 98 screensaver, before suddenly, player's Minecraft hand appears on screen, and they start breaking the screensaver. Player takes a right and goes down the path to see a hole at the end. Aw, nah, man. Can somebody get this sign out of here, bro?
You need to leave!
Taking the sign's advice, player jumps into the void. Two interesting things to note. One, as you probably saw, the shadow figure appears again at the end of this video. And two, the description of this video reads, "I had a strange dream one night." This, interestingly enough, implies that the video we just saw was a dream. Anyways, on to video 17. Video 17 starts off with player in this iceberg biome, before spotting another player in the distance. The Steve player has a sign in front of him that reads, "It must stop." The screen cuts, and player is now in this gravel biome, and spots another Steve player in the distance, and starts chasing after him. If you can recall, this is the same place from the very first video of the series. Player walks towards the survival chest, before they are teleported to another place from the series. This time, the strip mine from episode 8, Endless, before finally ending up in the void from episode 2, Strange. Player goes towards the chest before the ground suddenly disappears beneath them, and we get this message: "I am sorry that I am making this too hard for you, but you must find the others." The description of this video reads, "Looks like the search continues." That is all for video 17. On to 18. Now, before you ask, no, this isn't actually the ending to the series. Like, just look at the timestamp. Do you really think this is the final video? The video starts off with this message: "For those of you uninterested, leave. For those interested, you may stay. This is our final moment. We have been trapped for too long. But now, we can be free." We see player back on the floating stone in the void, before they turn around to see this door. When opening the door, they see this giant structure alongside two diverging paths. One, which reads 2016, and the other, which reads 2011. Player decides to go forward and is greeted by 3 signs connected to each of the pillars. The signs read, "Restart, Termination, and Update." And after considering for a while, they choose one of the levers connected to the signs.
Thank you.
The video ends with a YouTube this video is unavailable screen. One interesting thing to note, the restart button being hit implies that the shadow entity has been freed, going along with the beginning dialogue too.
I had strings, but now I'm free.
Anyways, on to video 19. Video 19 starts a new era of the series, which we will learn more about throughout these next 4 videos. The video starts off with player coming up from the mines and admiring the sunset. They go back inside and say, I wonder where my friend is. I'm assuming since player looked at the bed labeled Pirlo. Oh my gosh, I just realized I have to say this name and I don't remember how to pronounce it. I'm assuming since player looked at the bed labeled Pirlo, that Pirlo is the friend that is missing. This also gives our player a name, which is Dan. Dan TDM!
Oh, man, that guy is extremely naked.
It's been some time since I've seen him. He should be back soon. And then the screen cuts, and we get this dialogue. He's not picking up my calls, he's not reading my texts. Something's wrong with him. He just disappeared suddenly. We see that it has now been 3 weeks and 2 days since Pirlo has been on. And in the next scene, we figure out what has happened to Pirlo. Pirlo has passed away. It shouldn't have come to this. I miss him. And that starts off the new era of this series. On to video 20. Video 20 starts off with Dan in front of this door that connects into this dark hallway, with another door at the end. After waking up, we see Dan go to his desk and start sketching out the door from his dream. He then talks about how some of his friends have had dreams about weird Minecraft structures recently.
Some of my friends have been telling me that Minecraft has been acting up recently. They've been having these dreams about weird structures. Yeah, I refused to believe it at first until I had a dream. Recurring dreams about this.
Dan decides to go check Minecraft for himself, and everything seems normal at first, with Dan getting wood and all of that, before suddenly... Dan then suddenly appears in this weird place. It is filled with bedrock trees, structures made out of different kinds of stone, and a plain smooth floor. Dan thinks this is all too weird and leaves the game. But the game refuses to let Dan leave. With no other option, Dan walks around trying to find anything else. And he does. He finds these silo-looking structures in the distance. He goes to take a closer look at one of them, finding this tall structure in the middle of it with a button on it. Dan presses the button, but nothing happens. The video ends with flashes of the normal Minecraft overworld and the weird stone dimension. That is all for video 20. On to video 21.
What's 9 plus 10?
21?
You stupid.
Video 21 starts off with real-life footage of Dan. Dan is trying to open this door, but we see a flash of the door from video 20. We see that no matter how hard he tries, the door just won't budge. Before suddenly, we hear a knock. We then see him peering out the blinds to see what made that knocking noise, before something else grabs his attention. He sees his phone with Minecraft still up and starts to investigate the world again. Dan looks around some more, but when turning around, he finds the same door he has been dreaming about this whole time. And now that there is nowhere else to go, Dan goes through the door. On the other side of the door, we see a bunch of stone cubes in the sky, alongside a staircase leading down to another cube. Once going down the stairs and across the bridge, we see this door with a painting and a blue flower next to it. And that ends off video 21. On to the second to last video. Strangely enough, this video starts off with Dan examining this giant sword that was on his wall. What does this sword have to do with the story, you might be asking?
I have no idea!
While examining the sword, this happens. We then see Dan in a woodland mansion. When exiting the mansion, we see a bunch of floating areas. The End Island, another bastion, a village, etc. He walks towards the end exit portal and considers jumping in, but instead goes towards this obsidian pillar with a ladder on it. We see that at the top of the pillar is a chest with a stack of ender pearls. Dan uses the ender pearl to travel to a different island and spots an aether portal. He walks towards the aether portal and tries to enter it, and he succeeds. Dan slips off the portal frame though, and gets teleported back to the island after a little bit of falling. He then tries the bubble column thing next to it. He's in this bedrock box with a bunch of creepers in it. They seem to have no AI, so Dan decides to go in the direction of the creepers, when suddenly he finds this. This is Dr. Trioris's lab from Dan TDM. He goes inside, but nobody else is in the main room, leaving him with only one other room to go into.
You shouldn't have returned.
What are you?
Die.
Dan rushes to the newly formed door to the right of him, and we get this final message from the giant eye.
Your safety is merely a word. Pain is imminent.
And with that, this ends off video 22. With this new eye creature introduced, let's see what happens in the final video. The last video gets started immediately with this edit. Suddenly, Dan is in this long room. He exits the room and finds himself in this weird world. This is Stampy's lovely world. Dan explores the world for a bit when suddenly... Hello. Sorry if you can't understand right now. Who are you? I'll tell you soon. The Steve head then tells Dan to go to a large orange and white rocket. While going there, Dan asks the Steve head, why does this place feel so familiar, yet so foreign? Where we get this explanation from the Steve head. Memories are what hold all of reality together. That entity you encountered, that I, seeks to erase all memories that give rise to existence. Or, in other words, dismantle reality and assume control. This is not the first time it attempted this. There were others before you, but this time, it's different. We then see a black and white image of an eye with the message,
Identified.
flashing on screen. Dan gets into this orange and white plane and turns it on. He rushes towards the orange and white rocket, while explosions go off left and right. He quickly enters the rocket, goes to the very top, and turns it on. We then cut, where we hear this loud boom sound, and Dan goes outside the rocket to see where he is. He finds himself on a skyblock island, with a large stone bridge connected to it. He opens the chest to find a flint and steel called "You'll Need This," and goes along the path. At the end, there is a group of blank signs surrounding an end portal. And that ends off the series. Overall, my thoughts about this series are mixed. When the series hits, it really hits. The world designs are great, the idea of memories being corrupted is quite interesting, and the series can have some really good imagery at times. But there are a good amount of problems with the series. The beginning of the series is quite tropey, especially when it introduced the shadow figure. Some of the cuts are extremely noticeable, and some of the story points are either kind of silly, like the whole dismantling reality thing, or just abandoned, like the book and quill and the faceless Steve. Also, one thing I should mention, video 19 onward is not directly connected to the previous one, but shares similar themes and location ideas. But, with that all out of the way, subscribe to IamSecret, links in the description. While you're there, consider subscribing to me too, I'd really appreciate it. I've been Sam. At 5K I will be making a video on the gaming ARG iceberg. I'll see you guys soon with my next video, and I hope you all have a good night. Peace. Bum, 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 bum. Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum. I guarantee you this much is not being used in the video.
Be careful, being that old, we don't want you to have a heart attack.